Well, the moment has passed. Back to work!
G'day all, MrPaladin here. There is an old saying that's attributed to a French general named Napoleon Bonaparte. He says, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. I wish to counter that. I think you should interrupt your enemy every possible chance whenever they make a mistake. But you have to be sneaky and devious. You have to recognize the mistakes that they're making. Most wartime stratagem is attributed to Sun Tzu, who made the book The Art of War. If your enemy is secure in all points, he says, be prepared for him. If he is superior in his strength, evade him. If your opponent is temperamental, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak, that he may grow arrogant. If he is taking his ease, give him no rest. If his forces are united, separate them. If sovereign and subject are all in accord, put division between them. Attack him when he is unprepared, and appear where you're not expected. It almost seems like he's a spy main. There are a lot of other wise words to be heard from both of them if you're playing a cloak and dagger spy. Cloak and dagger spies make a habit of sitting around and observing the battle, but you don't want to be too idle. I can always look back at footage of cloak and dagger spies and go, why didn't you do this then? Why did you choose not to attack at this moment? If you had sprung at that particular moment, you might have killed their entire team and nobody would have noticed. Sun Tzu even seems to be an advocate of making the enemy rage quit. He says the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Either that or he was talking about backcapping, which is also wise to do. Or at least wise to attempt. Because if you really won the game if you've killed tens of thousands of enemies who spawn over and over and over, but the payload never gets capped, who is a real winner of the game? The sniper at the top of the scoreboard? Or the 0-point spy who won the objective? There are many things a spy can do that will never get reflected on a scoreboard. I don't know how you could reflect them on a scoreboard. For example, everybody knows you get a point for sapping an enemy building and destroying it. But you never get scored for sapping an enemy building as your heavy medic pushes in, so that the level 3 sentry gun does not push them back, and they are able to press on into the engineer. You never get scored a point for leading an enemy medic into your team. You never earn a point for that conversation that's going to happen afterwards as he's fussing at his demo man for not shooting. Sun Tzu also says, all warfare is based on deception. Hence, when we are able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must appear inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe that we are far away. And when we are far away, we must make him believe that we are near. Paranoia, my friends. The paranoia that there is a spy around here. Or after checking for a spy, that a spy suddenly appears. You can work out who's the most paranoid on the enemy team, who to avoid, but while they're running around desperate trying to find you, have a go at their friends. Take out their support. Use any piece of information that the game gives you, because your enemy can use that same information. Alvin Tofer says, you've got to think about the big things while you're doing the small things, so that the small things that you do go in the right direction. Playing spy is just like that. There is a lot of little things that a spy does that seem irrelevant to other classes, that seem unnecessary. But as another wise man once said, the right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world. Pay attention to your disguise, your location, what your team is doing, what the enemy team is doing. And when the opportunity presents itself and the enemy makes a mistake, make them pay for it. Make it cost them way more time than it cost you. Sun Tzu says to rouse him. Learn the principle of his activity or inactivity. Force him to reveal himself so as to find out his vulnerable spots. Don't turn your cloak and dagger into a choke and dagger. Just because we can sit here invisible until the end of time on the map doesn't mean we should. So many times you can have some of the power classes get into a death cam and they look at the spy and they're going, what in the world is the spy doing? He isn't doing anything. I've just killed 3 people before I died. But the game is not about who killed the most. It's more important when and where the kill happens. So while the soldier could be doing the right thing, taking out a teleporter or a potential teleporter could be just as big a thing. Making the enemy walk the extra mile to get back to the front line. Making them so paranoid they WM1 all around the place. Forcing them to change their team composition to take pyros against heavies or sentry guns. Killing the medics before they can get Uber. The real trick to playing spy is about confusing the enemy. Confuse the enemy to the point where they can't fathom what our real intent is. Now, I'll be honest with you, straight up, if your team can simply outkill the other team, you will probably win most games. Not gonna lie, it is still a first-person shooter. If your kill-death ratio beats their kill-death ratio, you're probably gonna come out on top, statistically. But your team has to kill a whole lot less if only half of the enemy ever make it to the front line. If your entire force can meet only half of theirs, that will be an absolute win, and only the ineptitude of your own teammates will make that a failure. You've got to be careful though, because camouflage doesn't help when the other guy is willing to burn down the entire jungle. I had a game this morning where I was playing spy and playing spy quite well. I was the only spy on the team, but the enemy got so paranoid that it was ineffective. A simple change of class to soldier took care of that. I was able to make huge impacts on the enemy team until they forgot I was spy at all. And having an enemy not thinking about spy is the truest of all backstabs. Even the answer to WM1 pyros can be found in the art of war. Bravery, without forethought, causes a man to fight blindly and desperately like a mad bull. Such an opponent must not be encountered with brute force, but may be lulled into an ambush and slain. If you've visited my channel at all, you know I've taught this. There was a time during the pyro update where there were achievements for pyros, and there were pyros WM1ing everywhere, all the time, trying to reach their objective goals. I still played spy. I even did well. So back to the small things. I want you to start thinking more about the small things. Why was that demo man looking backwards? Was it another spy? No, it was our soldier. This soldier isn't rocket jumping. I should be able to catch up to him. Did that demo man see us? He called for spy. What is happening up on that sniper deck? Is that a Razorback? The soldier's reloading, he just fired 4 rockets. Let's use that sound and wait for him to fire 4 again. The little things are gonna take you a long way. And the team as a whole needs you to do this. Your heavy would like nothing better to see that you've angered some pyros onto the enemy team. Because your heavy medic should be able to push in that hard. The art of war tells us that the whole secret lies in confusing the enemy so that they can't fathom our true intent. But our true intent should be obvious. Our true intent should be to win the game. But many people lose sight of this. They love seeing the flashy graphics. They love seeing the giblets flying everywhere. They love the satisfaction of chasing down a spy and believing him dead. It warms their heart of hearts. But they forget about the payload that's nearing the checkpoint. They get distracted by the small battles around them. They lose sight of the bigger picture that we keep our eyes on, like a laser focus, as true as a sniper who's looking down his scope. You won't always make it. You won't always be successful. But I want you to always try. I want you to be there in the moment. To be there as a chance is being taken. I do not want you to sit idle somewhere in the map, under your cloak and dagger, doing nothing. Napoleon said it best when he said, "Take the time to deliberate. But when the time for action comes, stop thinking and go in." Too many gamers are looking for a risk-free lifestyle. But if you never take any risks, there will never be any rewards. You will never progress, things will never get better. I say take chances. But take chances when the odds are in your favor. Sure, you've got to roll a dice, but roll a stacked set of dice. Roll a set of dice that's always in your favor. Once you get comfortable with the cloak and dagger, I suggest an easy step up to other cloaking. Take a Lutron J with a regular invis watch. It allows you to stay more mobile, but still gives you sufficient cloak time to do just about anything. Look for opportunities to trick stab, but don't go out of your way to force trick stabs out of everything. That makes you predictable. Trick stabs are not infallible. They can work in your favor in the right situations, but don't rely on them. Instead, rely on the fact that the enemy will want to chase you down no matter how crazy the situation. Once the enemy detects a spy, they want that spy dead. There's something about it. They just can't let a spy go. Once they recognize one, they'll call it out to their friends. They'll stop what they're doing, and they'll try and look for you. Then the soldier who's behind you will get so frustrated because he can see you and he's firing at you, but none of the rest of them notice. Wasting time and effort to try and hunt you down as the very, very valuable seconds tick away. In that last minute, do not neglect the teleporters. The inability for the team to get back to the front line is paramount. And the number of pyros you can get to stagger into your heavy medic and your set-in sentry guns is a wonderful thing. Doing these things will get you kills, but it's not the most important thing in the game. Your score does not matter. I want you to give up on that. Your kill streak is just a number. Don't get attached to it. If you can kill one enemy without dying, that should easily mean you can kill 2. If you can kill 2 without dying, you could easily work up to 5. If you can kill 5 without dying, eventually you'll get 10. And if you can get 10 without dying, eventually you'll get godlikes every now and then. It'll just happen. Don't try and force it. Unlike many other classes in the game, you're often working alone. You're often working away from your supports. You're often working in their backline. You are often outgunned and outnumbered. If you do find yourself working deep in the enemy's backline rather than deep in their back, remember the 3 rules. You don't want to be seen, you don't want to be heard, and lastly, you do not want to be caught. Frank Herbert, the author of Dune, had one of the wisest sayings that I could ever think of, and I keep it in mind in all my positioning. Any man who retreats into a cave which only has one opening deserves to die. Team Fortress 2 maps tend to be pretty open. Team Fortress 2 maps tend to have numerous routes you can go, but there are some places where you can get stuck in a corner, stuck in a dead end, have no other options. Try not to put yourself there. Try not to be that guy that is caught near their spawn. Now you are a spy. You are going to die. I don't care how soon that last kunai stab was. That 200 health means nothing real fast. But that does not mean that you can't do the most important things in the game with only 70 health. Taking your spy gameplay to the next level is not all about headshots and trick stabs. It's not about having a third arm or a super fancy computer. It's the art of war. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps you in your future endeavors. Be sure and check out these other spy tip videos, especially the one about the art of war, and I'll also send you a link to the 3 rules. Check the video description for important links.